of the evening was to celebrate rather than to engage in conflict. However, the moment was over, and what came next was a string of quick, unexpected incidents that would have a lasting impact on all parties. In an effort to friends and family pulled them away and whispered warnings. Tamar, however, felt the pain of betrayal, observing tiny insults passed off as laughs, judgmental looks, and the subtle changes in loyalty. She had to strike an impossible balance between protecting the delicate artwork and defending herself. When an unexpected guest showed the tension increased even more. Someone not expected. The spaces, the energy changed from lighthearted fun to severe scrutiny in an instant. Whispers became conjecture, and conjecture became charges. Online fans perusing the sporadic posts, these disjointed tales left people perplexed. Clarification. But the truth remained elusive. What should have been a normal get-together in the drama of the evening peaked. Standing a little distant from the main group are Tamar and Mendesi, conversed in a way that caught everyone's attention. The emotions underneath the calculated phrases were unfiltered. Tamar's tone swung between defensiveness and exasperation, according to a later account of the discussion. "I don't know why everyone keeps assuming things," she reported. She sounded vulnerable and frustrated at the same time. Mindy's, but the firm's response had references to the past, tensions and unsaid complaints. Laid out, the room seemed to hold its breath. Another corner, conscious and gesture had significance that beyond the present. Family members were having their own passionate conversations. Some were worried about Tamar, others were worried about the relationship that had developed between her and Mondays. Whispers of support mixed with subtle shifts in alliances, with a touch of doubt. From a fun get-together to a maze of feelings, allegiance, and treachery, fans would argue over analyzing each exchange for seconds. However, the immediacy of what was overwhelmed everyone. With time running out, Tamar made the decision to, with the intention of gathering her thoughts and regaining her composure, withdrew momentarily. After sedate place away from the main area, she encountered yet another emotional turn of events. Angry at the growing tension of the evening, a buddy came up to her with allegations that went unexpected. "You always leave us guessing," the buddy remarked, her voice quivering with annoyance and rage. Taken aback, Tamar found it difficult to react since she knew that any response may be construed in a variety of unresolved disputes, and unanswered questions intensified the mood ran high. The night appeared with new discoveries, encounters occurring, and tense moments that were unpredictable. Made an effort to mediate, occasionally intervening to diffuse possible. However, the quick speed of events and the intensity of feelings, Tamar and Mendez's interactions became the main focus, in the attention of friends, relatives, and eventually fans who would closely examine every detail posted online. Every chuckle, every look, every pause was examined, discussed, adding layers to a story that was rapidly taking on a life of its own. Had largely dispersed by late evening, but the play was far from finished. There were rumors about what had happened. Parts of conversations, vague words, and tantalizing clues of conflict are shared by fans. The family was split apart. Concern was voiced by some, by others, observation by some to take sides. Meanwhile, Tamar struggled with the intense pressure of being the focal point of a narrative that appeared to get more dramatic by the second. As the evening wore on, the conflict between private reality and public grew more apparent, and fans conjectured allegations, whispered secrets, and possible confrontations. Although audience were aware that the reality was much more complex. Tamar yet intensely felt remarks were analyzed and interpreted in a variety of ways. Every look and gesture turned into a source of conjecture. hesitance is a source of curiosity, and on social media, where fans and followers found it difficult to distinguish reality from rumor. Emotions were running truth from conjecture. The evening reached a dramatic crescendo in the early hours of the morning due to a last occurrence. A miscommunication argument. Accusations were hurled across the room, tears were shed. Tamar tried to take charge by reminding relationships and the need of understanding. It was short. Relationships, friendships, and public opinion had been permanently altered by the night's dynamics. Long after the lights went down and the doors were closed, lecture and conversation would continue due to the intensity of the evening and the uncertainty of what had happened. Following the incident, social media erupted with fan reactions, interpretation discussions. Every article, message, and mysterious comment magnified. As fans stood up for Tamar, emotions were running high. The family had to navigate the perception, loyalty, and criticism as a result of her acts, and discernment. A narrative unto itself, one that made it difficult to distinguish between reality and conjecture. In the midst of the storm, Tamar had to deal with the narrative that was taking on a life of its own. A perfect storm of and emotion was produced by the evenings of the online conjecture. With the stories circulating online, relatives found it difficult to reconcile what had transpired, demanding explanations, clarification, and a conclusion. More twists, discoveries, and drama were in store. As the night grew quieter, the drama kept developing in real time. Viewers from the world. The fallout from difficult conversations and furious clashes hung like a heavy mist. Sitting in her tried to make sense of the chaos all around her. However, the gravity of what had transpired would not let go. Mendez, on the other hand, in the spotlight. His composed demeanor concealing a whirlwind of contradictory feelings. As they tried to put together what had actually transpired, friends whispered to one another. The spirit of the evening celebration to scrutiny, as fans on the internet started crafting their own stories being posted. Every action and statement is being scrutinized. Conjecture. Those shocked by the discovery, which came as a surprise. Someone disclosed that earlier Tamar had received some unsettling news, a revelation that shocked everyone in the room. Even though the words were their significance was too great to be disregarded. As the ramifications became, things were running high, and all of a sudden, tension filled the room. Questions emerged from whispers. The brittle facade of normalcy crumbled under the weight of suspicion and worry as questions turned into accusation. The family was split apart. While some choose to remain impartial, others unwilling to take sides in an increasingly explosive situation. People's transformed conversations into confrontations, and Tamar pressure of the evening's discoveries with the desire to defend. Reply. She tried to explain in a calm but strained voice, but each word seemed to provoke more. For his part, Mendez upheld a cautious equilibrium. The tension between them was evident, entirely defending or blaming. Fans observing via short-lived social media posts and mysterious posts were left ravenous for information. Their imagination and conjecture erupted like wildfire. They appeared nearly unrecognizable from the typical gathering it had begun, with each fragment enlarged and each unclear statement analyzed. As the drama intensified, an unexpected guest showed up. Someone who had been on the outskirts of the social circle for a long time. The dynamics immediately changed as a result of their arrival. As long-standing grievances latent flew, emotions are moments of unadulterated confrontation as voices overlapped throughout the room. Tamar tried to mediate. Attempts to remain composed were met with doubt and opposition. Have to happen every time. According to reports, she spoke in a tone that was both frustrated. Some people found resonance in the words, while others saw them as guilt or evasion. The family attempted to realizing how precarious it was. However, their attempts were frequently too late. The evening's emotional energy caused events to spiral out of control. The story took yet another dramatic turn when a furious dispute broke out between two close friends was based on perceived betrayals, unspoken insults, and previous Tamar was caught in the midst, holding one side. The room was almost intolerable intensity, and emotions were running high. Those gifts examined every look, every word, and every move, and followers who were eager to learn more eventually aligned. The tension turned as the evening a life of its own that was influenced by both fact and perception. As evening wore on, Tamar and Mendez started having increasingly individual conversations away from the larger group. The conversation, calm but heated, touched on misconceptions, anxieties, and the burden of expectations. Tamar expressed dissatisfaction with how her received. Mendez's voiced worries about being high due to the quick escalation of events. Their comments were shaped by a combination of defensiveness, vulnerability, and residual tension. The conversation's private setting stood in stark contrast too with the main room's public space. However, rumors continued to circulate even during these peaceful times. Later, fans pictured each syllable reading with emotion and intent. Remarks that had been heard, if at all, just in part. Family members argued quietly in a different, attempting to distinguish fact from fiction. Alliances and loyalty were put to the test, shifted, and the evening's emotional toll was felt. Others said they were worried about Mendez, others about Tamar, and some about themselves. The drama went beyond being caught in the crossfires. Speech with gestures and looks that expressed secret feelings and unspoken opinions. The night had turned into a complicated web of connections, disputes, and secrets. Every thread heightened the suspense and ambiguized the assembling. An important turning point had place in the early morning. A piece of information that appeared to validate some of the circulating rumors was disclosed by a friend. Specifics were purposefully left unclear. Tamar was clearly rattled by the discovery, which sparked further rumors and anxiety. It's unbelievable that everyone is discussing this as if it were confirmed. She reportedly uttered these words, her voice quivering with annoyance and incredulity. In a composed response, Mendez acknowledged the worry, but asked for patience. However, the atmosphere in the room had already changed, and the events of the evening were now seen through the prism of scandal, treachery, and intrigue. Online fans conjectured wildly after reading the bits and ambiguous clues, creating stories that occasionally surpassed reality as discussions went on. Tamar had to deal with the immediate emotional fallout as well as the larger online narrative. Every conversation and explanation was tense. Allegations of deception, incomplete truths, and selective disclosure were leveled as friends and family negotiated their roles in the developing drama, leaving Tamar trying to maintain control over a situation that had already started to spiral out of control. Loyalty was put to the test. Emotions ran hot, and the relationship complication added layers to the already unstable scenario. The interpersonal drama of the evening culminated in a heated discussion between Tamar and a relative who accused her and drawing unwarranted attention. Tears were shed, voices were raised, and the room turned into a little version of the greater public discussion that would eventually take place online. It was tempting to strike a balance between Tamar's measured but emotionally intense comments. However, everyone in attendance was profoundly affected by the intensity of the altercation. Mendez, who was watching from close by, stepped in and offered assistance while remaining impartial. However, there was no denying the parties' intense emotional connection. By the time the evening was coming to an end, the room was filled with residual tension, unanswered questions, and the weight of what had happened so almost uncontrollably. Online fans were already creating stories, assembling pieces, deciphering body, and inferring meaning from vague or fragmentary words. Despite being physically present, the family had to navigate the complicated emotional fallout. Tamar, in the middle of the storm, realized that the evening had changed from a straightforward get-together to a dramatic scene of interpersonal strife, concealment, and duty. Intensity of feeling. In the last hours of the night, there were times of introspection, quiet discussions, and attempts to make amends with loved. Like any other night, it began with music and the kind of enthusiasm that only a get-together with. But by dawn, it was all different. Emotions ran high and fans were startled. And the most recent allegations about Tamar Braxton have sent the internet into a frenzy. Are going viral. Speaking up is Tamar. After the night, Nessi's complied the life-altering diagnosis. How actually took place on that fatal night? The stories are contradictory, details are unclear, and there is drama. Imagine waking up following what appeared evening to discover that both and the lives of people around you have been completely upended. According to tales circulating online, Tamar apparently went through just that. Fans, friends, and family have all been taken aback and are struggling with shock, incredulity, and worry. Every comment, post, and response on social media is analyzed, discussed, and shared on numerous channels. As rumors of treachery, secrets, and unspoken facts started to surface, feelings were running high. Sources near Tamar. A glimpse of a night full of surprising turns. Late-night meetings, intense arguments, and unexpected events. Some say smiles became accusations, chats became disputes, and laughing became tears. The family was left split, torn between terror and loyalty as they attempted to make sense of an almost unbelievable circumstance. Fans and followers are left wondering about what they believe to be true about the singer, her relationships, and what happened behind closed doors. And just when it seemed like the story couldn't get any more stunning, there were rumors circulating that a life-altering diagnosis had been confirmed by a medical professional. Every new post is viewed by doctors, hospital visits, and private remarks. Supplying the fire with fuel, was this the outcome of a night of careless decisions, or something much darker? As a tale spreads, the stakes increase, the stress increases. And everyone from close friends to the same question is being asked by casual followers. What actually took place that evening? The story is far from over, and the twists are only starting to reveal themselves, so stay with us. We delve deeply into the drama, the feelings, and the explosive events that have left fans talking, wondering, and yearning for answers all over the world tonight. You're going to be astounded by what you're about to hear, and perhaps even challenging what you believed to be true. Tamar Braxton and the pivotal night. Long before the night started, the tension had been building. Beneath what was meant to be an enjoyable evening with friends, there was a subtle undercurrent. As ever, Tamar Braxton came to the event with a charisma that captivated everyone. The music throbbed. For a brief period, it seemed like any other night as laughter reverberated throughout the apartments. There was a feeling of expectation, an unseen burden that hovered over each conversation. People who knew her well saw it. She laughed a bit too loudly, and her gaze lingered on specific discussions. Fans were observing her from a distance through social media posts and short articles. And it appeared as though she was calculating every word and every look. I had no notion that the evening would turn into something truly remarkable. It began innocently sufficient, with a glass of wine in hand and her laughter blending with the music. Tamar was speaking with a group of friends in the living room. Although everyone appeared relaxed, there were subtle tensions underneath. Were brewing already. Tamar and Mendez had silently entered the room together, and one friend, clearly uneasy, kept looking at them. It was not surprising that they were there. However, there was a sense of discomfort about it. Whispers started to spread. A feeling of both interest and anxiety. The family, who had come together for what was meant to be a fun reunion, exchanged looks that spoke more than words could. Though nobody discussed the unease that had taken hold, feelings were running high. As the evening wore on, discussions became arguments. Smiles turned into worried brows, and little disputes turned into arguments. Tamar, who was always the center of attention, appeared torn between controlling the mayhem since known all around her. She made an effort to mediate in order to reduce tension, but each attempt appeared to spark more conjecture. Mendez, who was standing close by, seemed at ease and oddly tension, a paradox that fueled the flames. After reading about the event, fans would never stop speculating about what they saw and what they believed they saw. However, at that precise time, the energy was nearly electric, charged with unspoken disagreement, curiosity, and expectation. The first dramatic turn was unanticipated. Someone brought up an apparently little miscommunication that had never been settled. Fingers were pointing, voices were rising, and the room turned into a stage for the drama that was taking place as a result of the mention. Tamar, speaking firmly but measured, attempting to the purpose of the evening was rather than to engage in conflict. However, the moment what came next was a string of quick, unexpected incidents that would have a lasting impact on. In an effort to diffuse tensions, friends and family pulled them away and whispered warnings. Tamar, however, felt the pain of betrayal, observing tiny insults passed off as laughs, judgmental, and the subtle changes in loyalty. She had to strike an impossible balance between protecting the delicate artwork and defending herself. When an unexpected guest, the tension increased even more. Someone most people had not expected. The spaces, the energy changed from lighthearted fun to severe scrutiny in an instant. Whispers became conjecture, and conjecture became charges. Online fans perusing the sporadic posts, details left people perplexed and longing for clarification. But the truth remained elusive. What should have been a normal get-together in the kitchen was when the drama of the evening peaked. Standing a little distant are Tamar and Mendez, conversed in a way that caught everyone's attention. The emotions underneath the calculated phrases were unfiltered and swung between defensiveness and exasperation, according to a later account of the discussion. "Everyone keeps assuming things," she reportedly remarked. She sounded vulnerable and frustrated at the same time. Mindy's, but the firm's response had references to the past, tensions and unsaid complaints. As the drama played out, the room seemed to hold its breath. In the other corner, conscious that every word and gesture had significance that extended well beyond the present. Family members were having their own private yet passionate conversations. Some were worried about Tamar, while others were worried about the relationship that had developed between her and Mendez. Whispers of support mixed with subtle shifts in alliances, a touch of skepticism and doubt. The evening had changed from a fun get-together to a maze of feelings, allegiance, and treachery. Later, fans would argue over each individual, analyzing each exchange for arguments. However, the immediacy of what was happening at the time overwhelmed everyone in attendance. With time running out, Tamar made the decision too, with the intention of gathering her thoughts and regaining her composure. She withdrew momentarily. After relocating to a more sedate place away from the main area, she encountered yet another emotional turn of events. Angry at the growing tension of the evening, a buddy came up to her with allegations that went further than she had expected. "You always leave us guessing," the buddy remarked, her voice quivering with annoyance and rage. Taken aback, Tamar found it difficult to react, since she knew that any response may be construed in a variety of ways. Unresolved disputes and unanswered questions intensified. The moods ran high. The night appeared to go on forever, with new discoveries and unexpected encounters occurring every hour, and tense moments that were unpredictable. Tamar's family made an effort to mediate, occasionally intervening to diffuse possible conflicts. However, the quick speed of events and the intensity of feelings Tamar and Mendez's interactions became the main focus, attracting the attention of friends, relatives, and eventually fans who would closely examine every detail posted online. Every chuckle, every pause was examined.